1045 The Team, 1045theteam.com. On the phone right now, Paul Mound, head baseball coach, Union College. I know. Great name for a baseball coach, huh? Mound?
Yeah, there's no doubt about it. I think it certainly fits the sport, doesn't it?
Now you guys get to the NCAA tournament. You win the Liberty League this year. You went 2-0 in the New York Regional, losing to Ramapo and then to Castleton. But overall, what was the experience as a whole for you guys getting back to the NCAA tournament for the second time in 3 years?
Well, I mean, obviously, Brady, we went into the year feeling very confident in this team. I knew we had a lot of talent, what a lot of people don't know, don't realize, and it's just baseball, but we lost 3 very important players from our lineup. We lost our leadoff hitter, we lost our number 3 hitter, and our number 5 hitter before we even got into the regional this year. So we overcame quite a bit of physical adversity to get where we are, so it was pretty darn fulfilling for us.
We were talking off the air before we started the interview about just the way that baseball in New York has grown. You've got Cortland, who's in the College World Series again for the second straight year. You've got St. John Fisher, who's going to the College World Series for the first time. You've got great programs downstate. You've got Oswego, who's coming back. You've made a deep run in the tournament. RPI's made deep runs in the tournament. Just how good is the New York baseball scene right now at the D3 level?
Well, I have to tell you, I mean, I think New York baseball D3 is really on a major uptick. I'm finding that, you know, at a school like ours, which is clearly, you know, very academically selective, I'm finding real talented players coming from both the state but also from the region. A lot of very interesting players coming out of New Jersey, out of Connecticut, and I'm finding that they are looking for Union College and upstate New York baseball, which is obviously very interesting considering our weather patterns. But I think that, as we talked about, I think that the NCAA gave the state a lot of credibility by splitting up the regional this year. It frankly would have allowed for potentially 3 teams between Cortland, Fisher, and Oswego to go to the World Series. And, you know, heck, if we make a defensive play, we might even have a serious run at that opportunity. But the way the NCAA split it up, Brady, I thought was fantastic, and I thought it was a compliment to the state.
Now, I talked to the new women's hockey coach at Union, Josh Skiba, earlier in the week. I talked to the new football coach at Union, and I always have the same question. When it comes to recruiting, how difficult is it to recruit to a school like Union? You've already mentioned high academics. It's expensive to go there. But, yeah, you guys are in a position to go to the NCAA tournament 2 times in 3 years. I mean, how much work does it take to find the players that can A, get into school, B, afford it, and then C, help you compete on a national level?
Well, I mean, obviously, Union's a bit more challenging to recruit to than maybe some other schools. But from our standpoint, you know, I have found over the last 6 years that it has gotten, frankly, strangely easier for me to recruit. I think in large part because of the success we've had in recent years. But, you know, there are an awful lot of extraordinarily gifted young men out here that can play the game of baseball that, frankly, you know, really have their heads screwed on straight and know that, you know, as the commercial says, there's a lot of guys going on to play in something other than the world of sports. So I've been able to really land some good, high academic, yet very gifted athletes here at Union, as have, you know, other schools with similar situations like Carl has at RPI, for an example.
Jake Fishman, your star pitcher, also one of your star hitters as well, but really we focus his attention on the mound. 7-0 this year with a .41 ERA, allowed just 3 earned runs in 66 innings. I mean, those are better than video game numbers. What makes him so good?
Well, I mean, he has a lot going for him. Number one, he has a very unorthodox delivery. He really hides the baseball. So, you know, the fact of the matter is he'll throw 88 to 90 miles an hour with an awful lot of late run and sink on his fastball, but the delivery makes it that much more difficult. He has a 6'3" frame, And by the time he's releasing that ball, it's a whole lot closer than 60 feet, 6 inches. And just that whole delivery, a batter does not pick up the baseball until it's really right on top of him. In addition, I mean, I feel as though his ceiling is very high, and I've stated this before, because you talk about a kid with a great work ethic. He's a guy that, honestly, Brady, coach's dream. You ask him to do something once, make an adjustment based on what you see, and he puts it into play. He works very hard at it. He's very humble. He absolutely loves this game, and I think the ceiling, frankly, is Major League Baseball for him.
Speaking of that, that's what I was going to ask you next. So around the area, we've been talking a lot about Ian Anderson, the Shen baseball star, who's projected to go in the first round. But I've been on the Jake Fishman from Union could also be drafted train for at least a month now. And what have you heard from the pro baseball circles? Have there been scouts calling you? Have there been draft experts calling you? Because I have heard that he's got some legitimate late-round interest at least.
My phone has been burning up all spring. There are 19 Major League Baseball teams that have contacted me about Jake. And there's definitely significant interest in him. I do agree with you. I think that he's in a different situation than Ian Anderson, who frankly, I believe will also be another first-round pick coming out of the Capital District, which, how good is that?
Unbelievable.
But for Jake, he absolutely has a ton of interest. Several major teams have been out on multiple occasions to watch him. About 3 weekends ago over at Shuttleworth Park, it was amazing to watch, Brady. I mean, there were 15 scouts sitting in the front row, 15 radar guns focused on him, and then the follow-up that I got, days and weeks later regarding his performances is clearly given me an indication that he is going to be drafted. I feel strongly that, yes, because he's coming out of a high academic D3 situation, I think he'll be, certainly not in the same classification as Anderson, but I think he's going to get a call. Then the decision's obviously going to be up to him. He and I've had some discussions because, frankly, one Major League Baseball team indicated to me that if given the opportunity at the right time in the draft, they would draft him, but actually not make him an offer initially because they want to further follow him on the Cape. Jake is pitching for the Wareham Capemen in the Cape Cod League this summer. So, he may get drafted and actually not hear anything about finances until early July. So it could go a number of different ways. But, what you're hearing is very accurate. There's a great deal of interest here.
Now, you're in the precarious position. You mentioned it a little bit. You want to help the player out. You want to help your program out. Have you given any indication or any advice to Jake that says, look, if you're drafted, after round 30 or so, come back to school for your senior year. If you're drafted between 20 and 30, you got to take it. Have you had any of those talks or any what-if scenarios, or are you just waiting until it actually happens?
Well, your timing's interesting because Jake and I had an hour-long meeting yesterday about this. And I'll tell you, Brady, I mean, from my standpoint, yes, I'm the baseball coach at Union, but more importantly, I'm a mentor to young athletes that, hopefully have this kind of an opportunity, which, let's face it, I mean, this is a rare situation. But, I want what's best for Jake Fishman. If someone were to look at Jake and say, listen, I want to give you a significant financial package to work your way up through Major League Baseball, then I think, depending on what those dollars are, he has to look hard at that. We also played out the very scenario I just mentioned, because one Major League Baseball team has clearly told me that they want to draft him, but they want to watch him before they talk about any money. And frankly, because he's a junior, there's a good possibility that he does not get drafted this year at all. I know, for example, there was a very high-level baseball scout in Saratoga with me last August and watched Jake work out and absolutely loved him. He was 92 on the bump that day, and which he's capable of doing when the temps are up. So they were, needless to say, in August they said, "Paul, we're going to draft your boy." And then they came up to watch a Skidmore game when it was beautiful northeast weather and, wind chills in the mid-30s, and his velocity wasn't the same. And then they said, I think we're going to wait and sign him after his senior year. So, I've talked to Jake about just keeping a mental balance here, that you don't want to get too high, you don't want to get too low, that anything could happen here. And just like I feel with his ceiling by being extraordinarily coachable, I mean, he's a very level-headed guy. He's also, by the way, extraordinarily intelligent. He'll be a first team. He's already been selected first team all-region academic, all-American, and I think he may end up in the national polls for this as well. So got a lot going for him, and I think that he's going to be just fine here.
Paul Mound, Union College baseball coach, Dutchman, get to the NCAA tournament for the second time in 3 years. Season is over on the field, but all the drama off the field now as we wait for the June 9th through 11th Major League Baseball draft, and we hope to hear Jake Fishman's name called. Coach Mound, thanks a lot. Congratulations and best of luck and continued success.
Well, thanks a lot for having me. I appreciate it, and I'm sure I'll see you around on the fields this summer.